Greetings, sacred beings, sacred souls. Welcome to Sacred HERstory podcast. I am your host, Jennifer Natasia. Today, for our Sacred HERstory guest speaker, we have Jacqueline Knopick, who's a working mom of three. I said it right, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Working mom of three and aspiring singer. Welcome, Jacqueline,
Hi,
to
Jennifer.
I mean, we've been talking about your story and you've been through a lot recently. So this is some fresh stuff that we may or may not talk about and get into, but I'm honored that you're here to share your story and the journey that you're on where you're at. So thank you for
Um,
being here.
of course. Thank you for having me. I haven't been on a podcast, so it's exciting to me. I've been watching a lot of podcasts and I was like, this could really be something. I see why you do it because you learn about everybody's story and I love that.
Yeah, yeah, thank you for seeing that. And, there's so much with women's story that are never heard. And I feel like here's a platform to hear women's story and, you know, be a blessing to someone and, so much more because there's also other series that's happening too.
Mhm.
But this episode right now is focus on you. And so we're going to start with this one question. What part of your story do you feel called to share today? Not because it's polished, but because it's honest.
I mean, you know, you go sorry.
It,
Uh
it
you
doesn't have to
go
be
through
perfect, right?
It's definitely not perfect. I'm a mess. It's been, it's been 3 years since I've talked or seen my kids since my divorce. So I literally I just got on my first phone call with my kids, and it was a not like it was bad, like it was just so good to hear their voices.
Yeah, 3 years is a long time.
3 years is a really long time. And, there was so many times that like all I wanted to do was get phone calls from them. And, to be halted from that, it's just like, why wouldn't you let me talk to them?
Yeah.
I know it was their best interest and you were thinking about them. And it's a complicated thing, when a parent, kind of has no other choice but to walk away, unfortunately. It didn't mean that I was like walking away from the kids, because I was with them for 12 years.
Yeah.
I was a stay-at-home mom for 12 years. I was married. I met someone very young. I was a mom before I met him. And then things, he kind of swooped in and he was like the Prince Charming, and I'm going to be this nice guy to you. And you learn that you don't really know a person. So
Or we change, right?
you do. And honestly, like, people do change. And if you can't forgive someone for something that happened in, their past, then you need to make sure you really know a person before you get married to them. Like, because you never know, like,
Yeah.
what they're going to turn out, or if it's going to be good, or you know
Yeah, but do you ever really know a person? It's like either you're going to grow together or grow apart, and that's where communication comes in, right?
Yeah, and I definitely believe that communication is very important,
Yeah.
whether you're, first dating, or if you decide to get married, or, there's long engagements for a reason, I believe. So I didn't really have that with my ex-husband. Um, we met after my daughter passed, and then we kind of just like lived our lives and moved in, and we did everything so fast. We were very young, so and I'm not saying you can't meet someone when you're younger and then fall head over heels for them
But
because
this
you
is your
can't.
story. This is your story.
My story, yes.
Yeah, this is your story. This is your journey.
Hmm.
And there was something you just mentioned. And before I even go back to that, I just want to go way back when you're like, well, I'm a mess. And I go, well, let your mess be your message, right?
I do like that. Yeah, I
Let
I
your
believe
mess be your message.
I believe we are all messes, and it's how we navigate our messes.
It's how we navigate and what becomes our story. But there was something you mentioned. You said your daughter passed?
Yeah, I became a mom at really really young, and um, I found out 5.5 months pregnant. I didn't know, and then I moved in with my sister, and then she's like, "You don't have your period. Why don't you? We should probably take a pregnancy test." And my entire family was at this clinic. So my mom, my dad, my sisters, their kids, like everybody was there. And then the person was like, "Yeah, you're pregnant." And I'm thinking, very in the beginning, no, I was
Mhm.
about halfway through my pregnancy. So being 19 and pregnant, it's like with the teen moms. I for when you MTV had a 16 and pregnant.
Mhm.
Well, I was 19 and pregnant,
Mhm.
and I was out of high school, um and you know certain circumstances are completely out of your hands, and my daughter was one of them. And so I've had a long, long list of guardian angels that have passed in my family. So my daughter was the first one, and then there's a lot that are gone, and so I have a lot of kick butt angels up there that are watching over me and watching over my kids and keeping me safe and out of trouble. And so I do I do believe that angels do exist because I'm still here.
I agree. Well, I'm sorry to
and you
hear
know,
that.
a lot of people don't talk about SIDS with babies, and that was uh, that was definitely a really hard pill to swallow, knowing that I was going to be a mom and understanding that. And then I only had like a little under a month and like a week with her. So that was definitely not the easiest for me to. And then I like started working. When you have losses, you really need to grieve. And I didn't do that. I got a job, I was working, and then my friends were like, "We haven't seen you," because I was on the other side of town. And then they were like, "Well, we're going to go to the bowling alley because you're in Vegas and you're not 21. You don't, you can't really go places. So the bowling alley is where you go." And
Mhm.
my ex husband was there and his friends were there, and you really have to listen to who you're attracted to.
Mhm.
I wasn't attracted to him, and I looked elsewhere, but he was a nice guy at the time.
Mhm.
And so before you meet like your people, um you have stages, and
Mhm.
not all of us are, you know we're not nuns and we're not saints, and we cope we cope certain ways. And
Yeah.
I was getting attention that I never really had, and you do things that your 30, almost 40-year-old self would not be proud of, or but everybody has those stages where you see somebody and you're like, "Oh, this person, maybe this could be my boyfriend," or
Mm.
whatnot. And it was not. And
Okay.
then I met him, and I really, he was the nice guy.
Okay. So, and this was like, I'm trying to get the time frame right.
The time frame
So the
I
time
met
frame
I met him.
you had your baby.
I had her in 2008,
Okay, and then she
and
passed away at a month
she
and a half after
she passed. She was born in June, and then she passed away in August
from, can you
from
share?
SID. Yeah, from SIDS. So SIDS is when babies they stop breathing when they're sleeping.
So how have you, and then, of course you grieve, but it seemed like you met this guy, but even fast forward, even still, you guys are together. Did you ever had a chance to grieve, baby girl?
I don't. I mean, I don't think I ever really did grieve her. It's like it's really hard to see like well, it's not as hard anymore because I
Mhm.
mean she would have been like 18 now. So but I definitely think the like with him and meeting him and moving in together and dating and you know you jump into so many things so fast
Is that what
because
you, sorry, is that what you think you did? You jumped into it just because?
I jumped into it because he was kind of like the first guy that seemed like a good person. Like
Mm.
he was going to take care of me and we all want a person that is going to protect us to make us feel safe. And at the time, that's what I thought at the time.
Mm, I
And
see.
then and so I think you when you do find out you're pregnant, the next thing you do is you get married. And so we had a very small like ceremony. It happened in like a day. It was kind of like a Cinderella story a little bit. Um
So you found
so
out you were married or you were pregnant, and so you guys said, well, let's get married. And
yeah, cuz he had a good job. So he had a good job and and I was pregnant and before I got pregnant with my oldest, I didn't think that I would ever get to be a mom.
mm,
And so I had a spiritually I was very angry with God and I thought that he took her way and I thought he was punishing me.
mm,
And so when I found out I was going to be a mom, so like with my daughter, you do you with grieving is such a it's such an up and down thing and my life who knows why it continues to happen
mhm.
and so that was kind of like my first real like time of grieving and that one hit me really hard because
Ah,
I was a young mom. I was a very young
just
mom.
being a mom, that would just, oh my gosh, my heart goes out to you. And then you had three babies after, right?
Yeah, my I have three boys. Um and they were very close together, not like super close, but like 3 years apart. And then when we found out we were pregnant, we decided to not know the gender of the baby. So we kept that a surprise, and we ended up keeping that as a surprise for all three. Um, and they're just, it was good to talk about, but sorry. So yeah, he works, and I was a stay-at-home mom.
You were able to be at home. That is such an honor. And gosh, I'm so blessed, to be at home with those babies, right?
Yeah, it was I was very lucky at that time.
Yeah.
And
How was it for you? How was it being a stay-at-home mommy?
that was my job. It was
That
my
is,
life. It was my oldest was like three like he was my oldest was speech delayed.
oh,
Um so My ex-mother-in-law, she's not here anymore, but she would say that he knows how to talk, he's just going to talk on his own. So that was really complicated,
Mm,
but I also taught him sign language so I could know what he would want. And you also try to nurse them when they're babies, but he was not having that.
that's
So,
amazing. You taught your baby sign language.
well, I watched YouTube and then I learned like that. But yeah, so like,
Incredible.
there's more, and like thank you and please and milk was like a big one. So that, yeah, you find different ways to communicate with your kids when they can't speak for themselves.
Hmm. That's a beautiful. That takes a lot of patience. So, and time and just awareness. So, be proud of yourself for doing that, and what a amazing mama you are. And then here we are, fast forward,
Here
and
we are to the
and
fast forward that you don't, you shouldn't settle
mm,
if you're unhappy. And what I can say is don't settle for your kids either. And I was watching a podcast with Hillary Duff. You know,
mm,
I grew up with her music and her shows and stuff, and she said, moms need their time to have a glass of wine, or go to Starbucks, or go to the movies. Like, she was like, you need to have that space.
right.
And I don't think I ever got that space, because the babies are my children. Just we just kept having babies, so
Mhm.
I was just a mom, and I, which, not to say that being a mom is not one of the greatest things, because a lot of people don't get to be moms, and they have to really go through a lot of things to become a mom. So
Right.
I'm not saying that I don't like being a mom. I
Yeah.
love being a mom.
Yeah. It sounded like mama needed a break.
Mama had a partner that chose to do other things and be half involved,
And
because
you,
mom
sorry.
was, oh, no, you're okay. And mom was really alone a lot of the time. He worked, I had the kids. Um, that was my life. My life was my children from
Hmm.
sun up to sundown. And when you have a child with ear infections, they don't go to sleep until, or you don't go to sleep until they do. And
Right.
so it's challenging to be a mom,
Yeah.
especially when you have two kids that are close in age, because they're 3 years apart. So you have a 3-year-old and then you have a 1-year-old, and they get into mischief, and things do happen, and stitches happen, and
Mm. Yeah.
and they roughhouse and they MMA fight, and you know that's why you take them outside, like when
Mhm.
it's nice out, because in Vegas it's really hot. But
Yeah.
you take them outside and you let them play, and they do the soccer and the football, and they ride bikes all day for hours. They would just ride their bikes, and then they would come inside and play video games, and then you play video games with them.
That's beautiful.
And
You were interacting with your children. So what happened? So I mean, probably we don't even need to dive into what happened, but pretty much you guys separated and divorced. And where are you now? Where in your life are you now?
where am I now? I'm healing.
And what does that look
I
like for you?
Healing is, I know my worth, which that that can take a long time when you're with a wrong match.
Mm,
And so I'm healing, and I'm exploring the world more, because like before I was a mom, and I wasn't really doing that.
mhm,
Like it wasn't like vacations, or it was just like being a mom. That's that's your whole life. That's your job. That's if you choose to be a stay-at-home mom and you don't have any other options because certain people say no,
Mhm.
um, you're just your mom.
Is that how you
And
felt? You were just a mom and that there was something else you need to be doing, or what was that? What I hear you say, I'm just a mom. I'm just a mom, you know. And so I'm like trying to see what's behind that just being a mom.
I think it was I I didn't really have anywhere to go. It kind of felt like if I did go somewhere, it was he knew that person and he had their numbers, and as long as he felt like safe, then I could go and do that. Like if he was okay with that person, which I do get. I do get, but then there comes to be a time that like if there's another person or there's another male that you hang out with your kids and they think that something else is going on. So there was a lot of trust issues. There was the and there was some stuff that happened and went down, and that but before that happened, there wasn't a reason to have any trust issues.
Mm,
But if you're not on the same, like if you do not understand the person that you're with or the spouse that you're with, you're never gonna understand them. It's just it's you either have a chemistry or you don't, and he we just didn't have it. And you you can try as hard as you can, and you but if that chemistry is not there, it's not going to be there, and you can't force it, and you can't stay with that person.
mm,
Like it's hard when you're in it. You don't know how bad it is when you're in it, because you're like, I'm the mom, I'm the mom and I have the kids, and I didn't really have like an outside life.
mm,
My life was the house. Like what happened in the house is what I did, and the boy and my oldest went to school when he was 3, and so there was that. And then his brother came along, and then there was him, and then nursing, because I was in mom groups at the time,
mm,
and I was reading how important nursing was, and I really really worked hard on that because I wanted my children to be intelligent, and there's a lot of things that with nursing that is linked to that. There And I don't know if a lot of people know that, but they learn a lot faster. Like potty trained at 2 and talking at 2, and you learning how to cook when he's like in cracking eggs when he's 2. And then with my oldest, he was formula fed. And mind you, before anybody like starts commenting and trying to judge me, I you feed your baby any way you can.
yeah.
As long as your baby is fed, that's what matters.
Hmm.
But with my I was pumping for 3 months with my oldest,
Hmm.
and I would cry over the milk that was spilt because that took forever to do.
Mm,
And nursing, like, it's really something you have to be dedicated to. And so with my younger two, I was very dedicated to that. And then with the youngest, that was like nursing and bottling. And then I also had help at the time.
mm.
So that
Yeah, that's a
it's
lot.
it
Nursing is a lot, and there's no judgment here. And whoever is listening, the audience, you know, show grace. This is your journey. This is what you dealt with. And, I'm still kind of stuck at, how your baby girl passed away and you haven't had a chance to grieve. And how are you moving forward? But then, like you shared, it's not as heavy. You have your boys, and yet here you are in this place where, it's Tell us about it if it resonate. If
Um, so I mean, let's be honest. I was in an abusive relationship.
mm-hmm,
I was married to a narcissist. Uh, I didn't know what that was.
mm-hmm.
I didn't learn that until 2019 when someone told me what it was. And then you look back and you're like, yeah, there's a lot of red flags that I missed, a lot of them. And
Well,
so
sorry, go ahead.
it's it's kind of like a big rabbit hole. It's like a black hole. And every day is a roller coaster
Mm,
and you can't get out of it. And so you you can be you can be like married, but then all the behind the scenes, like when you it's like a flip book in a way. So you have on one side, you have the happy family, you have the mom, you have the dad is working, you have the kids, and then on the inside it's like portraying a fake pretending life.
mm,
And that and so you can it's a lot like social media. Like you see a couple online and then you see them so happy, but you don't, it's really not.
it was a facade. It sounds like what
For
you're saying.
sure, it was like this person is Mr. Charming and he's a dad and he works and he provides, and then on the inside like I go back to like the Titanic quote where she is like, you can have, she didn't say this, but she said, outside you can be so happy, but on the inside you are screaming. You're in a room and you are
Mm,
screaming, and nobody is looking up. Nobody is, although I my friends will be like, we tried to tell you.
mm,
And so I get that a lot where everybody's like, especially like people who have known me before I got married and before I became a mom and before I lost myself.
mm.
You lose yourself. You a lot of moms are just, we're moms.
Yeah.
Like we don't have a job. We're not making our own money. We're not independent because another person is controlling all of that.
Yeah.
They're controlling when you drive a car. I went like 7 years without driving because he had a manual car and he would not teach me how to drive.
Mm,
And then the one time that he did, it was like I was arguing with my stepfather. They say that you marry someone that is like your family. That's kind of that's the that's what girls look towards, like, or that's what you look for. And it may not be the best thing you should look for because we often, I don't think we mean to,
mhm,
but I feel like we try to emulate that same relationship, and it just, that like you could meet like another person and then until you, it's the same.
mhm.
And
So what was that moment when you chose yourself? When was that moment when you chose yourself? Was it
oh
clear?
gosh,
Was it uncomfortable? Like when was this time? What did it feel?
I think there was an incident that my children had seen, and I was like, I can't. I think it was, you have dreams, right? Like, I don't know if you pay attention to your dreams, but I pay attention to my dreams. And I know that when I have multiple dreams of the same thing that is happening, and then you end up like finding out how your children feel about it, And you're
Mhm.
just like, I didn't know that you knew how really sad I was.
Mhm.
So it's like, it's when you ask them, and it's just, and it's also like, you have a younger one who's like 1 or 2, and then you hear how your older kids feel about your relationship with the mom and dad, like how mom and dad's relationship has affected them.
Right.
And someone else came into our lives and things were different and it was better, and you're like, I don't want to do this to the youngest one. Like the older two went through so much, they saw so much, and
Mhm.
the youngest one, he was so little. He
Mhm.
didn't he didn't deserve the arguing and the fighting, and the toxicness that was in this house.
Mhm.
He didn't deserve that. And just like my oldest boys, they didn't deserve the toxicness in the house either. They
Yeah.
saw a lot of things that maybe probably to this day give them nightmares. I don't know if they talk about it, but
Mhm.
I'm sure that they do, because
Yeah. So if your past self could hear you now, what would you want her to know?
okay, now are we talking about like a younger me? Are we talking about like 18-year-old me? Like, are we talking about 20-year-old me? What are we talking about?
Oh, we could start with 18-year-old you, 20-year-old you, and it
um
yeah, it is a vague question. I'm glad you asked. Thank you for asking.
well,
But is it like different things you would tell each age, So yeah, feel free to answer with what you.
so I think with my youngest me,
Hmm.
um like what I would tell her now,
Yeah.
I would tell her that it was really hard and you're gonna really go through it, but to keep going. Like mom and dad are gonna fight and they're gonna argue, and it's not gonna be the easiest. And I think that like with my oldest self, I didn't I divorce and stuff, you don't want your kids to go through to have the kids that were separate homes. But
Mhm.
then you also you have to you have to do what's best. So what I could say is my younger self, who had dreams of being a singer, I would tell her to keep going and not be scared.
Mhm.
Like, don't be scared to like sing on stage, because I used to do that. I used to go to Kids Quest and I would go right to the stage and I would sing Madonna. And then I would also tell her, don't don't push everybody in front of you when you're auditioning for a show choir, because if you do that, you might not get a chance to be in show choir when you could have. So
Mhm.
there's a lot. I think there's just and then you know with my like being 18 and stuff and learning that you're going to be a mom, and look to your family. Don't be scared to talk to your family. They're gonna they're going to be so scared for you because they went through it. My family had kids very young, with a lot of my sisters.
Mhm.
I don't have a lot of sisters, but I would say that I would be like, don't jump into the first guy that you see, and you need to like. I had a pact that I wasn't gonna be active until I met the right person, and then you turn 18 and you're like that good girl and you get good grades, and you you reach a point when you want to rebel against your parents. And I
Mhm.
did that. And I would have liked to wait. I would have liked to wait. I don't take my daughter for granted ever because I learned honestly, as hard as it is, I'm glad he didn't raise her.
What
It's
is
hard to it's hard to hear, but I met him after she passed. So,
yeah.
and then, you know, also when you're like in your 20s and you're a young mom, I would I would say, God, that's so hard. Because in my 20s, I was that was my life was literally for a decade I was a mom. And
Mm,
so when I found out that I was pregnant again with my oldest, my second oldest, I was terrified.
like,
My biggest thing was like, is my son gonna stay breathing
mm,
when he's sleeping?
yeah.
And so that was a really, really big thing. Um, Under his crib, we had this, it was called the H.E.R monitor, and it would go under the mattress and then it would tick. It would tick every time the baby would breathe. And then for any reason, the baby stopped breathing, it would set off an alarm. And so to this day, I think that's always gonna haunt me.
Mm,
If and even even with like I did it with my ex-husband, I would check because he would snore a lot. And so when he didn't snore, I'd be like, are you like alive? Because like it's a very, very scary, terrifying thing. And when you do lose a baby to that, like that's something that you carry forever.
yeah, that's
And like looking at her when I saw her in that bassinet, that is a horror that will always be in my brain. That will never that will never go anywhere.
true.
So, and then as in my 20s, if you would have asked anybody, they would be like, you wouldn't have left him. You wouldn't have got divorced. Like you were so in it. That was like your life. It was like your husband and your kids and your house. And then I think 2019 was like when we had met someone, and not like negative things that happened, but you get experimental and you try things, and
Mm,
she ended up becoming part of the family.
mm.
And 7 years later, she is now his wife.
Wow,
So,
you went there.
I mean, honestly,
That's a lot. Like what you just unraveled is so much, Jacqueline. Are you, I mean, talk about the unraveling and the rawness of our conversation. It's for you to be smiling and still be here and, share your story and still, in your way, um, have this light within you. Thank you. Thank you for being so vulnerable and for being here, for sharing your story with the audience, those who are listening and hoping to hear, because this is a lot. This is some real stuff. Like,
I mean,
how
when
are
I
you laughing? I would be so pissed, You're
honestly, you learn a lot when you are out of it, you know? You have you have the days that you're crying.
Mhm,
I I I wasn't seeing my kids. I wasn't talking to my kids. I had to make a decision, and it was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make. It was, what is going to be the best thing for my family?
Mm-hmm.
And my decision, which, mind you, it was not an overnight decision.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't. It was years of how this isn't normal. This isn't normal that someone will go to work and go to the bar and then choose to take out whatever emotions this person is feeling to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, so your children see it. If there's one thing that I could tell my 20-year-old self, it would be like, don't involve the kids. Figure out how to talk nicely. Don't put your kids in the middle because they never deserve it. They didn't deserve the arguing and the, but that's what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, and continue, yeah, like, don't put them in the middle. Don't
Mm-hmm.
talk negatively about your partner in front of your children. That's bad because then in their mind, they're like, oh, maybe dad is not the best person, or maybe mom is not the best person. You want to make sure that the home front is peaceful, and it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
It, no matter how hard it tried, like, and honestly, you want to have a person that wants to do things with you. Me and my ex-husband, we were separated a lot of the time. He would go out with his friends, he would go to coffee, he would go on vacations, I would go on vacations with my girlfriends.
Okay.
You know, with sometimes concerts were a thing because I'm a big music lover, as you, because I'm an inspiring singer.
Yeah. So
um
how is that? I mean, we talked about a lot of heavy stuff, but where are you today? Like, where are you with your music? Like, what's going on today so that we could end this episode on at least a positive note?
oh yeah, of course, because it's a sad thing, it is, but I don't want to be sad about it.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, I go, it doesn't have to be happy either, right? It's just, where are you at now? Are you
where
honoring,
where am I?
your journey? Are you honoring yourself more and loving on you more? Now that you're out of, that relationship, like, what does your life look like? Do you feel like you're in a better place?
I believe that I'm in a way better place.
Mhm.
Negativity can really mess with you. So maybe my mind is a little negative at times, but I also know that I'm not meant to be a negative person.
Mm.
Certain people in my past were very negative, and I don't want to be that. I I want to be I want to be happy, and I want to get my kids back, and I want to do music because, like, without music, I would not be the smiling person in front of you at this moment. There's a lot of songs that have taken me to the darkest parts of my emotions and my psyche. And when you have an artist, or an artist in general, they put their heart and their soul into their music, and that's why music is so powerful. So that's what I want to do. Like, because you should get to, you should be a mom, and you should also not give up on your hobbies or what you like. And I've always been a musical person. Singing is like my favorite. It's one of my favorite things to do. I like driving around in the car and just like blasting like Fletcher and Hilary Duff, and like all of the millennial singers that we grew up listening to are all back now. Like, the moms are going to Backstreet Boys, and we're going to New Kids on the Block, and Jonas Brothers is coming back to Vegas in like a couple months, and then BTS, and like there's so many like different artists for everybody. And if you can go, if I could have a song out there that just like touched a person the
Mhm.
way that I've been touched with music. And also I think it has to do with like my choir teacher. I had a high school choir teacher that to this day she was like a mom, and my parents worked a lot. So but for her, like that was her life. Her music was, she said, if you find a job that you love, you will never work a day in your life. And I definitely think that that has stuck with me like for 15 years now. There's 17, who knows. 2007 was a long time ago. So I definitely think that your biggest thing that you can do is really love yourself. You can't let anybody tell you what kind of person you are.
Mhm.
And honestly, yeah, love yourself. Like remember that little girl inside of you, because that little girl or that little boy is still inside of you. And don't forget them,
Mhm.
because we're adults, but like people forget to have fun. We work and we don't go on vacations, and then time goes by and you lose family. And sometimes you lose family very, very fast. And that's what happened to me. But I, being out of my, being divorced and, being single and, you know, being on my own without my kids, because I have been without my kids. And I'll tell you that that first year was just the most heartbreaking thing ever.
Mhm.
And then, it's like grieving. You have to keep going. You
Thank you.
can't, you got it. You have to keep going. You got to keep going for yourself, because there were times that I just cried. It was Christmas. I didn't see my kids. I cried. Like I'm such an emotional person.
It's okay. That's not
And
good. Mhm.
so I think that with every day, and you know what? It doesn't it doesn't have to be like, it could be in a second. It could be in 24 hours, or you have to feel your feelings. Like if someone hurts you, then you need to really think about that. But you can't sit in that, because nobody wants to be miserable. Nobody wants to be in a relationship where somebody is um so disrespectful to you.
Mhm.
There's name calling. Like nobody deserves that. You deserve to be happy.
Mhm.
You deserve someone to see you. And if you can find that, then I mean you found the antidote for your life.
Yeah.
And so I I believe that I am I'm a Disney princess, and I am a happy person. And I think when you get away from the negativity of a person, you get back to yourself.
Mhm.
And then you're singing again, and you're going on road trips, and you pull a 6 hour drive from Arizona to San Diego in like 6 hours, and then you go to a concert like the night before. I think you need to just go and find what you love
Yeah.
and what you've forgotten.
Mhm.
And
Thank you.
so, yeah, of course.
That's beautiful. Like what you're sharing, and it's like this childlike bringing back play again in our lives. And thank you for sharing your sacred journey, your story, and it's still unfolding. And I,
The chapters are definitely being written, and I don't know. I mean, at this point, I'm trusting the universe with whatever is happening for me is going to happen. I have no control, but what I do know is I control my happiness.
yeah, yeah. Well, I pray that your babies and all that situation comes in your favor. And, your aspiring singing career or lifestyle, your passion really come into fruition so you can share your gift with the world as well. So thank you.
Of course, Jennifer, you're my new friend. You're so awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, beautiful souls, if today's story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you that you're not walking this path alone, I invite you to follow and subscribe to Sacred Her Story podcast. This is where real women share their raw and filtered becoming and the sacred, the messy, the powerful. And thank you, Jacqueline, because you're sharing this part of your journey where it is not perfect. It's a bit messy, but yet your light of just, I'm still going to keep going. I'm still going to show up, and you're going to continue to love yourself even more. That's really beautiful and inspiring. So, until next time, beautiful souls, keep choosing yourself, keep walking your sacred path, and keep writing your sacred her story.